Hi everyone, welcome to today's Hangout on Air on device bid adjustments. My name is Sally Chung. I'm the Global Product Lead on device bid adjustments.
Hi guys, my name is Leo Say. I'm the Product Manager working on campaign management.
Cool, we're really glad that you could join us today as we walk through what's changing with device bid adjustments and also go through our best practices. Before we get started, just a quick reminder that this is a live event. And so if you have any questions for us, please feel free to add them to the YouTube page and also in our events page. We'd love to hear from you and address your questions at the end of our session. And with that, I'll hand it off to Leo.
Thank you, Sally. So the new device bid adjustment allowed you to keep the efficiency of managing a consolidated campaign across all devices while giving you more flexibility to set those bid adjustments for each of those devices, such as mobile, tablet, and desktop. You also have a bigger range, allowing you to bid adjust from minus 90% all the way to plus 900%. And we're now going to talk about the best practices on how to set those bid adjustments.
All right, thanks, Leo. So the first best practice that we want to highlight today is maintaining your consolidated campaigns that target all devices. And so what we mean by that is we've heard a lot of advertisers ask us, is splitting my current campaigns into single device versions, so one for tablet, one for desktop, and one for mobile, the best next logical step? And our answer is actually no. We think that this will triplicate the amount of workload that you have to manage, and it creates a lot of inefficiencies and redundancies. So if you consider having all of your devices targeted in one campaign, it's actually a much easier process. You can ensure that you have consistent coverage of keywords across all devices, and you can manage one set of ads, ad tests, as well as ad extensions and shared negative keywords all in one place. And also you can just have one bid changes within one campaign versus having to repeat these steps across all three different versions. And so the primary question here is, are the theoretical benefits that you think that you'll gain from single device campaigns really worth it for the amount of work that you have to put in? And so just to dive into that point a little bit more, a lot of the perceived benefits of single device campaigns are actually achievable with features that exist today in AdWords. And so, for example, if you want to have keyword level bids, you can actually group similarly performing keywords into the same ad group and set ad group level bid adjustments. In addition, if you want to create device specific messaging in your ads, you can also do so with ad customizers. And so we really do think that keeping all of your devices targeted within one campaign is the most effective and efficient way to manage your campaigns. Cool, thanks, Leo. And as we're talking about efficiency, if you're reevaluating right now your current bidding methodology, we actually encourage you to consider AdWords Smart Bidding, formerly known as AdWords Auto Bidding. And the reason being is that AdWords Smart Bidding really takes into consideration a multitude of signals for you. It uses advanced machine learning and really sets the optimal bid for every auction. In addition, it also takes into consideration the relationship between these signals. So for example, AdWords Smart Bidding is able to determine if, let's say, a user in Toronto on their mobile device during lunch at noon is has a higher convertibility than somebody in Chicago who may be on their desktop at 4 p.m. And so you can imagine having to do this manually on your own is a lot more cumbersome. So AdWords Auto Bidding or AdWords Smart Bidding really does the work for you. And now with drafts and experiments, you can actually test AdWords Smart Bidding strategies side by side with your current method. And you can see the results side by side as well and really determine what is the best bidding methodology for your campaign. And so as you're thinking about device bid adjustments and how to optimize your bids most effectively, we highly encourage you to consider AdWords Smart Bidding. And with that, I'll hand it off to Leo, who will walk us through the best practices for manually setting your bids.
Thank you, Sally. So as Sally said, we really recommend that you consolidate your campaign, everything into one campaign, and if possible, that you use smart bidding. But if you really want to do manual bidding, here's how we recommend you proceed. So first, you should start the process with the most specific bid, either the keyword or the ad group. In this example, we'll use the keyword. and set the max CPC to really reach the aggregate best performances across all devices, non-segmented. Once you reach a good return on investment on the average, you can move to the next step. The next step is to segment your report per devices. In this example, we're looking at the performance of a customer who's selling online ticket across mobile, desktop, and tablet. Think about it this way. In this case, your desktop is performing above your average, while your tablet is performing below your average. And so you're going to use the bid adjustment to nibble and level those things and optimize each individual devices. And so the key here is really to maximize the return on investment on each individual device. This is where you would have stopped in the past, but we actually recommend you go a couple steps further. We recommend that you actually look at what we call the full value conversion. And this is not only the reported conversions you have in AdWords today, but this includes everything that this device could have led to in the real world, like offline conversions, calls, etc. To do this, you have a couple of options. One, we have a new report called Assisting Device Report in AdWords that try to augment your own knowledge of how many conversions you got outside of the one that are in the regular AdWords report. We also recommend that you use your own insights because you know best your customer. And so at the end of the day, you need to judge what are the best, full value conversions that you get in your AdWords account. Alongside this device report, you also have metrics like cross-device, mobile app, calls, store visits that you can track in AdWords. And so try to track as many as you can, and if you can't track them, try to guess the best number. Again, at the end of the day, you know your business better than we do. A quick note, if you decide to use the upcoming feature called Performance Target per Devices, this is the full value you would use to set as a target for smart bidding. Now, if we keep with the manual device bid adjustments, once you have that full value, the formula that we recommend, but that's only an example, is to use the total full value CPA divided by the device full value CPA. And that will give you a ratio that you can then use to transfer into a percent to set your bid adjustments. Let's look at an example. If we go back to our table from earlier, I assume that my mobile conversion is actually 8. And so I recalculated the full value CPA for mobile as well as the total average. In that case, I see that my mobile is performing significantly better than my average. My desktop is roughly at my average and my tablet's a little lower. And so using the formula that I gave earlier, so total full value CPA divided by device full value CPA, so in that case 9.52 divided by 7.50, I get that plus 27% bid adjustments. I do the same thing for desktop and then for tablet, and I get those 3 device bid adjustments. One thing to note here is that if there is an existing bid adjustment, you need to take that into consideration. In this example, let's assume I already had a plus 50% bid adjustment, and the result from my calculation gave me a plus 27%. I need to add the 27% to the 150% of bid that I have today, and so that gave me a plus 91%. So if you follow our recommendation using the CPA, and by the way, you can also use device conversion rates in your equations, you will get to a percent. Keep in mind that as you go, you will need to take into account the existing device bid adjustments when you make your changes. One thing you need to keep in mind is that the device bid adjustment may not be linear to your conversion, and so you may need to watch out for diminishing return. What does that mean? For example, if you're already in the top slot, a bid increase may not yield the same amount of conversion increase. So keep an eye on impression share and tools like Bid Simulator to understand where you're at in the curve of performances. So again, the recommendation that we have is that you start with your most specific device like keywords and ad group and set your target at the average level across all devices. You then move to looking into device-specific performance, not forgetting to include the full value, and you will set your bid adjustments using CPA or conversion rate on an ongoing basis, depending on how those devices individually perform. You need to watch out for diminishing return, and what you're really trying to achieve is make it so that each device perform as close as possible to your average, so you will increase your overall conversion at the same costs. And I think we can now move to Q&A.
Great, thanks Leo. And thank you everyone for sharing your questions. Why don't we dive in and answer a few of them here? So the first question that we have is from Josh. Could you please give me a time frame as when I'll actually use these device bid adjustments?
So we've started rolling out those device bid adjustments into your account, and you can expect them to see them throughout August and maybe September as we're rolling them out in a couple weeks. We actually started already and we'll keep going.
Great. Thank you, Leo. Next question we have is about shopping campaigns. And so what are specific recommendations for shopping campaigns?
I think just like we said, what you said, Sally, actually applies to all campaigns. We really recommend that you keep consolidated campaigns for all the reasons that you mentioned, and that you set the bid to really achieve the maximum of each device performance.
Great. Next question is, if you know that mobile traffic never performs as well as desktop, what do you recommend doing instead of creating separate campaigns?
There's a couple of options. You really need to understand what you mean by not performing as well as desktop. As we said, conversion that you see in your AdWords campaign or report may not be as accurate of the full value of mobile. So you really need to look at, beyond the last click, beyond all those things, what's the actual impact of your mobile. And if after all those things, your mobile still perform a little bit less, you can use device bid adjustments to adjust to these performances while maintaining everything in a single campaign.
Great, thanks Leo, it's good advice. So the next question that we have here is about target CPA bidding. So the question is, if I'm already using target CPA bidding, I won't be able to set device bid adjustments, ? But I'll soon be able to set different target CPAs per device.
That is correct. Today, Smart Bidding will, as Sally mentioned, try to figure out what is the best bid to put on your behalf for each bid. So it will ignore those bid adjustments. However, soon you'll be able to give a specific device target for each device.
Great, thanks Leo. And the next question I think is a great one. So this customer wants to use AdWords Smart Bidding. However, they're pretty small. What are the conversion best practice requirements for this customer to use automated bidding?
It really depends, but usually we recommend that you have at least 50 conversion over the past 30 days for a system to really perform well. So you may need to wait to get those numbers in order to get the Smart Bidding to properly work.
Great, thanks Leo, and glad to hear that you're considering smart bidding after this hangout on air. Next question is about customers who are working with third-party bidding platforms. What should they do for bidding adjustments?
It really depends on your third-party platform, and you should get in touch with them. But they're all working on supporting bid adjustment in their front end and in their systems.
Great. And the next question that we have is, does this mean that there is a base bid and we can optimize for all three platforms?
That is roughly correct. One thing that I forgot to mention is that it's totally normal to have your 3-device bid adjustment non-zero, because we recommend that you use the keyword or ad group CPC at an aggregate level, and then you use each individual device bid adjustment to optimize that specific device. So you indeed turn into having a base bid, which is your keyword and your ad group, and having adjustments that apply depending on the devices.
Great. So by that you mean that you set your max CPCs to the average performance across all three?
That's correct, exact.
Great.
And so don't worry if you have 3 device bid adjustments that are non-zero. It is actually part of a best practice, and we recommend it.
Awesome. Thanks, Leo. And we have one more question here. So I think this was addressed a little bit earlier on, but just as a quick reminder, will the rollout happen at the same time across the world?
The rollout doesn't have any country-specific listing. It just happens across the AdWords accounts anywhere in the world, and we're still, as we said, still rolling it out.
Great. One more question. Please continue to share your questions if you have any more. This is a great one as well. How will this launch affect any scripts that we are running today to modify bids?
So we announced last week that scripts as well as APIs support the new device bid adjustment. So you will be able to modify and edit your scripts to either keep doing just mobile bid adjustment or enhance it to do all 3 device bid adjustment. You can check the scripts website for more details.
Great. And what about API support?
API support is also available. It was announced back in May. And so the same thing, you can go check it and you can use it to change your device bid adjustment across mobile, tablet, and desktop.
Great. Thank you, Leo. And I think that's all of the questions that were received today. If you do have any more questions, especially if you're watching the recorded version of our Hangout on Air, please continue to share them. We'd love to get in touch with you. And thank you everyone for joining. If you want to find out more information about our Google best practices, you can actually visit our website with the link here on the slide. And you can download all of our guides. So we'll go through the best practices that we covered today and all of the product overview as well. If you do want to speak to somebody, please feel free to reach out to an AdWords specialist or your account manager. We're always more than happy to help you figure out what's the best bidding optimization strategy for you. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.